back to my YouTube channel. It's been about a month since I caught up with you last, and as we all know, wherever you are in the world, life's probably looking quite different this week, so I thought I'd come to you and have a little catch up and we could have a cup of tea together and I'll share with you what I've been making. I don't know about you, but I haven't actually really had any more time than usual to make. As somebody that already works from home, if anything, I feel like it's been harder to switch off from work, so I haven't actually had sort of loads of knitting time and haven't gained any time from not having my commute or anything like that working from home, but it has really made me want to knit and kind of use that as like a wind down in the evenings and try and switch off from what's going on in the news and everything, and just kind of, well, actually I've been watching lots of sort of podcasts and YouTube videos like this, so I hope that you enjoy this and I'll share with you some of the things I've been working on. I've got my, do you remember last time I showed you my colourwork pullover? I've got that to show you. I've got some socks I'm working on, some sewing bits, and probably the most exciting thing is I'm wearing my Rift tee, and this is, I'll stand up so you can see a little bit clearer. It's a Jacqueline C. Slack, I think is how you pronounce her name, but I'll have all of the details below so that you can get the proper spelling and pronunciation down there. And she has the pattern on Ravelry. I've used the Fiberco yarn in Luma, which I mentioned before, but that was sort of many episodes ago. I think I was working on this, I'm sure it was before Christmas, I think it was before the winter, and that's kind of why I put it down. In the cooler months I wasn't really feeling like working on this, but I saw Stacey of Stress Knits and she was talking about doing a cow, and she's having everybody knit along the Rift tee at the moment, so it made me remember just how great this pattern was and I wanted to pick mine up and finish it, so that's what I did. I've sort of worked on this. It didn't actually take me that long. I think I just had to I was quite close to joining the you sort of join this seam over the shoulders and then you pick up this small band for the sleeves, which I think was sort of pretty much how far I'd got. I'd definitely done the back, which has a boat neck. I'll show you. Can you see that? It's got a boat neck at the back, V-neck at the front, which you can alternate. It's a great pattern. It's like really flexible. It has sort of the two necklines, so you can interchange them. You could do the V at the back, which is how it's shown in the pattern as well, and the Luma yarn was so nice to work with. It's a great sort of spring summer yarn because it's got linen and cotton in it, but it's not, it still remains, it's, I don't know how to put it, but you know when you think of linen yarns and cotton, sometimes you think of like quite dry, sort of hard on your hand, you feel like it's going to sap all the moisture out of your hands. I've definitely worked with yarns like that, and Fiberco Luma is not like that at all. It kind of has a real softness, it's still got a bit of bounce to it, but yeah, I'll show you the hem, which I really like. Has got, oh, and it continues up here if you can see that as well. Really nice twisted stitch, yeah, like a twisted rib. And it has that on the sleeves as well, and you could, as you could see from that picture, it has really nice stitch definition, so I highly recommend this yarn. And I work with the fibre company. I've mentioned that before, that I do a little bit of work for them part-time, so that's one of the benefits, is that I get to try out these yarns and see what they're like, because I've always been a little bit put off from using linens and cottons, but yeah, it's been really nice and it feels so comfortable to wear, and I think it's going to be great for spring. So that was something I've been really enjoying, and I'm so glad that I finished it. And if you're interested, I'll put the details below so you can join in with that knit along that Stacey's doing. So I'll, what should I show you now? Should I go into socks? Let's stick with garments. I'll show you in one of my big sweater sacks. I've got my pheasant pullover, which is an Amy Christophers pattern, and actually, if you're interested in the sweater sacks, these are one of the things that's still in the shop. The shop is still open. It's how I pay my bills, so it's something that I'm trying to keep going as safely as I can. And at the moment, I'm currently going to the post office on Tuesdays, so when this video goes up, you've probably got a little bit of time to pop in an order. Basically, my local post office is actually inside the supermarket, so which that makes it really easy for me that I can once a week go pick up like my groceries and get any essential bits that we need, and do a post office drop at the same time. And yeah, I'm just so grateful to the ladies there that they're all working still and they're keeping everything going, and yeah, just trying to be really safe while I do it, and obviously keeping my distance from the other people in the queue and keeping my distance from the women that are working, and we're all making sure that we're using antibacterial gel and washing our hands and all that kind of stuff, so that we all kind of keep each other as safe as possible. But I'm really grateful that that's still open so that I can keep the shop open for you. And yeah, as I say, it's one of my main sources of income, so it's something that I really do need to try and keep going as long as possible. So I really appreciate all your orders at this kind of time. They mean even more than they do usually. It's like, yeah, it's just amazing. So thank you if you're one of the people that did order last week, and that everyone's been obviously so understanding about the change in the shipping, that I'm just doing it once a week. But that's the thing, this is such a global thing. I think everybody gets it. Everybody knows that we have to make some changes, and that's the right thing to do. So yeah, so if you did want to get one of the sweater sacks or check out anything else, I'll leave the shop link below, but just so you know, it is open. But let's go on to what's inside the bag. So that's what you really want to know. That's what you're here for, isn't it? And you can see I've done the whole of the yoke, I've got the sleeves, I've done a little bit of body, probably done about three, maybe 4 inches of body. And I stopped and I went onto the sleeve just so I could check the fit, because I felt like I really wasn't sure as I was doing the body. The armholes felt really low, but as you can see, I think it's going to be so nice when it's done. Actually, the yoke sits really nicely, and I'm really, really pleased with it. And once I did do the sleeve and was able to try it on, I just wanted to see how it was going to affect it and if it felt comfortable, because it does feel quite like a long yoke. Like, I felt like for me, maybe I could have, probably because I'm quite petite, I probably could have separated for the sleeves a little bit earlier. But it actually is a more boxy sort of yoke. I feel like yoked sweaters traditionally, they're kind of a more fitted style, and this isn't. This is a more boxy kind of pullover. So I'm just trusting the designer, and I think it's going to come out great. I tried it on, it felt comfortable, it didn't feel like it was going to be... I was worried that if the separation was too low and it felt really loose under the sleeves, that it was going to somehow just, I don't know, I thought it maybe wouldn't be comfortable. Not that I necessarily thought it was going to affect the look so much, but I thought it might be really uncomfortable and sort of would ride up when I was lifting my arms and stuff. But that hasn't been the case, and I'm really pleased. It's just slow going because the yarn is so thin, and although it is a crop sweater, that's a lot of stockinette. But frankly, stockinette is just what we need right now. I need a lot of stockinette in the evenings because, as I said before, you kind of feel this pressure to sort of keep going, and when you work from home it's hard to switch off sometimes. So that's the easiest thing to do, is pick up something that you really love and you really want to work on, and to just go round and round and round, and that feels really good right now. So yeah, I'm pleased with how that's going. I'd like to say it might be finished next month when I see you, but as I say, it's quite slow with like the fine yarn. So if anything, I'll have finished that sleeve because I'm nearly down to the cuff, and hopefully I'll be on to the next one. So we'll see. You can see what happens next month. But when I do want something that's a little bit, it's not taxing on the brain at all, but just something with a little bit more concentration, I'm knitting a pair of socks. And this is in my Spring Bees bag, which if you're on my mailing list and following me on Instagram, you'll probably have seen these because I was put these up for sale a couple of weeks ago, and they have the little DPN cozies. DPN cozies are not in stock right now. That's something I'm waiting for, is these poppers. I need to get more poppers, and they're on order but they haven't arrived yet, so I don't think they're going to be here in time for this shop update, but they'll hopefully be here for next week. So got inside a lovely simple, show it that way, it's a really, really simple little kind of twisted stitch or a simple cable sock, and it's by This Handmade Life, which I've knit a few of her patterns before. You'll recognise her name, Olivia at This Handmade Life. She actually made this pattern available for free, and it was sometime over the weekend, and I just thought, yes, I saw it and I wanted to cast on immediately, and hadn't had that feeling for a while when you just see something and you straight away want to cast on. So I'm knitting those, and I'm using the Woolly Mammoth Fibre Co. This is her natural sock base, which is I think it's 50 BFL, 50 Cheviot. think is the blend. I'm sure it's a 50-50, but it's a lovely woolly yarn that's going to feel great as socks. I think it's going to really sort of block nicely, I think, this yarn. And it's quite similar. Olivia uses Quince & Co. Finch, or she recommends maybe Tern in the pattern, which that's 100% wool sock yarn, and it kind of has a similar vibe to these. Although this has got beautiful hand-dyed yarn. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. I've done a couple of repeats. It's really easy to memorise, and it's you sort of have about 5 rows where you're not having to concentrate on the cable pattern, so it has a really nice rhythm to it, that you have a couple of rows where you need to concentrate, and then the rest is just plain sailing. So I'm enjoying those. And actually I kind of started those. I thought I would quickly show you the other yarn that I've been using, because when I first saw Olivia's pattern and she announced it on Instagram, my first thought was to use this Dusty Dimples yarn that I got at Unravel, and you can see this is a very Alex type of speckle. I love this kind of thing where it's a natural, lovely kind of creamy background with some pops of speckles, and I like these kind of tones, these lovely kind of sorbet colours. And I didn't continue with this pattern because for me, pattern, I don't know what I was thinking, because this isn't a me thing to do a pattern and a speckled yarn at the same time, but I did want to show you because it was knitting up so beautifully, and I thought I'd show you the yarn. This is something I've been saving. That's her ball band, Dusty Dimples. It's a dusty sock, which is 75% superwash merino, I think, and 25% nylon. And yeah, this was something I bought at the Unravel Festival, and as soon as I started knitting it, I just realised this wants to be a vanilla sock for me, because this is kind of how I like to do my knitting. So if I'm doing something, a really simple sock, I want a yarn that's sort of really making me happy and brings you that kind of joy to watch it grow and see the speckles. And I know loads of people knit pattern socks with speckles and they look great, but that's just not, for me, it's like I either want the pattern to shine or the yarn to shine. So for me, if I'm knitting a pattern sock, usually I'm going to use a tonal or a semi-solid yarn. But this, I was like, I just realised this wasn't a good match for me. For me, this is the kind of yarn I want when I need mindless knitting, but I still want my knitting to bring me lots of happiness, and this is exactly what that would do. So I'm going to frog this tiny bit, and I'm going to carry on knitting those lovely socks from Olivia. That's called the, I don't think I said that, it's the Fairy Maiden pattern, which is a free pattern from Olivia of This Handmade Life. And yeah, I'm going to frog this, and I'm going to save this for something, a time when I really, really want that. Or like, it's perfect for like a travel project. If I want to take a special like travel project somewhere, that would be the perfect one. So that's what I've got on the needles for knitting this week. The next thing I've got is sewing, and I've actually got a bit of a fail. So this is why you do a muslin or a toile, because sometimes things don't work out. Now this was supposed to be the wattle and fawn dress, and I will show you so you can see what it was supposed to look like. You can see it's kind of like a tiered, lovely summer dress, and I was going to do it in white linen, and I thought it would look amazing under my rift tee, because I love that look where people have kind of got these cropped like little tees or cardigans or sweaters over like a high-waisted skirt or a dress. But this just was not flattering, it was not fitting, it was like, it was just a no. It was not good in any way. You can see at the back, so you kind of have these long straps that tie, which do make it adjustable. So I thought maybe I just need to try and adjust it, but there is no shaping apart from these two darts at the top, which I guess are supposed to bring it in, but it was gaping, it's so low and gaping at the side. So you can see in the picture they have it at kind of like this height, it's quite high, and then you have your straps there. And on me, this is coming down, so like that's like below where my bra straps are. So it's like I've kind of got my bra comes to, don't know how to work out to show you, like to sort of here, and yeah, it's just like completely open at the sides. It was really like falling open. It was just like, I guess like once I've seen it, I totally get why, because there's no shaping, there's nothing to pull it in. But yeah, it just wasn't working for me, and I'm sure there's things I could do to try and tweak it and get a better fit, but that's not really what I wanted. I wanted this to be simple sew, but that's why you do a muslin, that's why you do a test, because, and I'm really grateful that it didn't cut out the skirt, which is something that's a tip, because whenever I do any kind of like dress or something like this, I would always just do the top first and get the fitting really nice on that first before I cut out the skirt pieces, even just in case I needed to take in the sides or something. It just saves the material in a case like this where I'm really not gonna muslin the whole garment, because the fitting on this was so far off of where it needs to be that I don't think I'm going to be making the changes needed. I think you need to have a much smaller bust for this style. In the picture when I looked back, I realised that the girl had a really small bust, and yeah, this just would need much more shaping. It's just very sort of up and down. But I mean, I say that you need a smaller bust, maybe you don't, maybe I'm just not doing the ties right, or maybe if I just pulled it in a little bit it would work better, because loads of people would wear it lower on the sides. I don't know, it's a cute look if you had sort of, definitely on a summer holiday, like if you had a bikini on underneath, it would probably look cute just having like a really relaxed fit. But as I say, it just wasn't for me. It was too far off what I was picturing in my head, and I don't really want to go in and have to try it. I feel like if I was to try and put the darts in, it's going to change the whole look of the top, and I don't want to be drafting from scratch for something like this. So that was a bit of a fail, but I thought I'd show you anyway, because it's something I worked on this weekend, and I think it's good to see that we all have those times where it doesn't work out, because when you're sewing and knitting like we do, we all have things where it looks amazing in the picture, you have the vision of what you think it's going to look like, and often that's the amazing thing, is that you do the muslin on the toile and it's not perfect. I very rarely have sewn something up the first time and not had to tweak it, and that's the beauty of making your own clothes, because you can change it and you can make it perfect for you. But every now and then you have something that's just too far off the mark, and I've had really great, it's a Common Stitch pattern, I think was the brand, and I've got a pair of shorts that I made from them, and the shorts fit great. It's a really lovely pattern, it's got pockets, I love them. So I think this just wasn't for me. So I had a fail, but on the back of that I had an amazing win, because apart from that I knit a linden I didn't knit, I sewn a linden sweatshirt, and this was just with some fabric that's been in my stash for so long. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. It feels too structured and thick for a t-shirt, but I thought it was too thin for a sweatshirt, but I was wrong, because this is the perfect sweatshirt fabric. It's made a really nice light sort of spring summer sweatshirt. It keeps me cool, but it's still a nice layering piece, and it looks great with my Hudson pants, which I think is a True Bias pattern. I'll link those as well. The Hudson pants are great. They've got they're like a jogging bottom pattern with cuff at the bottom, pockets, super cozy, and I've got them in like a really lovely plush sweatshirt fabric. But as I say, this is just a bit lighter, and I'll stand up so you can see the full length. It looks really like, I don't know, it doesn't look impressive on the hanger at all, does it? It looks very like creasy. In person, it doesn't look that bad, but then when I look at it on the camera, it looks really creased. But it's a simple raglan shape pullover from, where is this? Grainline Studios, and I've used lots of her patterns before, and they're really simple to follow, really well written, well drafted. The modifications that I made on this one, the first one I did, I think maybe I did shorten the body slightly, but I kept it fairly close to the original sweater, just because I wanted to sort of test the fit. So on that, I hadn't changed the sleeves, but on this one, I rolled up the original sleeve and realised that it was sort of about too long, sort of just by about the cuff. So I used that as a guide, and I took away the length of the cuff from the sleeve, and now that's a perfect fitting sleeve for me. It sort of hits on the wrist. It's still got a little bit of like gather, because obviously with a sweatshirt you want that kind of comfort to feel a little bit slouchy, but it's not too long. And I've also taken a couple of inches off the length, so it just hits a tiny bit more cropped. And the main thing that really changes it is instead of having the hemband be a tiny bit smaller so it pulls in the bottom of the sweatshirt, I redrafted it and just added that little bit of length so that the hemband is the exact same width as the sweatshirt. So it just doesn't pull in at all. It just kind of has a slightly more boxy fit because it kind of hangs a little bit away from the body. It's not pulling in at all. It hits a really nice cropped length. And yeah, I'm going to try and take some pictures. So if you're watching in the future, click on the show notes and I'll link those, because I think, yeah, I'm going to take a picture in these so you can see what they look like with my Hudson pants on. But I don't know if I'll be able to get the photos up. Probably won't be able to coincide it with this video, but obviously if you're listening or watching in future time, you'll be able to click and see the pictures of that, because that is a pattern that I'm going to definitely do again. As I say, it was a sort of fabric that had been in my stash for ages, and I just felt like I needed, after that dress not going well, I needed like a win. I needed a pattern that I knew would work. Had a rummage around and thought I'd try it and see how it turned out with this, and it was perfect. And what do we all need more of is loungewear at the moment, because we're all spending so much time at home. It's nice to have things that look nice but are still comfortable. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that. That was definitely a win this month. So that's the sewing projects I've got at the moment. I think that's all for makes actually. I've got, the only thing I wanted to talk to you about quickly before we go is making stories, and I don't know if you've seen this around on the internet lately, because they've just launched in the last few days, I think it was on Friday, they launched Making Stories issue 3, which is all about growth. That was their sort of keyword, and there's lots of articles and essays from some really great writers and some beautiful patterns. So let me give you a quick flick through. I'm not gonna, let's find out, where can I start so I don't show you the patterns. So let's see, so I love the photography, I love everything about this magazine. It's really tactile, it feels amazing, and it's got this really lovely sort of 100% recycled paper. And I know I'm probably flicking through and you're wanting the closer look and you're thinking, Alex, you've gone too fast. But what I want is for you to click through and have a proper look. This is just to pique your interest. So you have a look and you sort of think, yes, I need to know more. And you can have a proper look. But what I will show you, I'll show you one in a bit more detail. My favourite pattern is Northbound, which is by Claire Walls, and there we go, there's information, Northbound, and you can see it's a really nice boxy cardigan. It's in Triskelion yarns, and look at that texture. I love it. I love the stitch pattern, I love the rolled collar. I think this is gorgeous. It was the first, I was really drawn, I think like the colour as well, it's really, really pretty colour. The yarn's beautiful. It's a BFL. And yeah, that's my favourite. There's some really gorgeous patterns. There's some lovely shawls and sweaters and socks, as you will have seen. And the other thing that I really enjoyed was they have this on sustainability and business. They had a sort of Q&A section that they had with some business owners. So they've got Oysters and Pearls, Thread and Ladle, Woolly Mammoth Fibre Co. and Le Chappie Lane. And they basically all had a group conversation where they were talking about growth and business. And as somebody who has their own small business, I found it really interesting to see the different perspectives on growth. And I think growth means something different to every business. And I thought it was just really interesting to see how other people sort of approached it. I thought Emma from Woolly Mammoth, her sort of view on it was quite interesting. She was talking about you might be at the point where you could sell more and grow in that way, but then that means that you have to then consider taking on employees, and that changes the nature of your business and how you're able to work. And so there's knock-on effects for all the different stages in business and growth, and it's up to you if you want your business to grow in that way. And yeah, I just thought it was really, really interesting to see all the different points of view. So that's something you might want to read. But yeah, they sent me this as a review copy, and when I had the email to say would I like to have a look, it was a yes, because I was actually one of the first people to back Making Stories back when they had, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if it was like 2-3 years ago, they had a Kickstarter campaign to do their very first publication. and I have it here. I was one of the people that backed Woods, and yeah, I think yeah, so I obviously followed them for a long time, so when I had an email saying would I like to have a preview copy of the magazine, yeah, I jumped at the chance, and I thought actually it made me get this out because I realised there's some really nice patterns that I never got around to knitting, and this is one of them. This is a Jessica Gore sweater. I'll come a bit closer so you can see, but I hope that's picking up. It's a really lovely cable, and you can see that it's kind of a cropped sort of boxy fit as well, so kind of along the lines of the Colorette sweater I'm doing. It's actually the one on the front. So yeah, so Making Stories are a business that I've followed for quite a while, and it's really exciting to see how they sort of evolve, and their photography is always beautiful, and I love the patterns. And as I said, in this one they actually had some really interesting articles as well. It was one of those that I sat down and I read cover to cover with a cup of tea in the morning while I was sort of waking up for the day, and yeah, it had some really lovely stories in there. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to share that with you, and it was really nice having a chat with you this afternoon. I hope you're all doing well, and yeah, let me know in the comments where are you watching from in the world, and let me know how you're doing. Why don't you share what you're working on? I love it when you tell me what projects you're working on, and quite often you're commenting on the pieces that I am knitting, and you might tell me sort of if you're doing a sweater or colour work or that kind of thing. So yeah, come and tell me down below where you are in the world and how things are going for you and what you're working on at this time. And yeah, check out all the links below if you want any info on all the yarns and the patterns and everything I've been chatting about today. There'll be show notes below, and I've said before in previous videos that I actually have a newsletter that goes out for people who want the show notes straight to their email. So every time a video is uploaded, I send them a notification and I give them all the show notes right there, so they can click through to the video and they've got all the notes as well while they're watching. So if that's something you'd be interested in, you can have a look below and there'll be a link to sign up. But thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this, I'd love it if you subscribed and give it a thumbs up, and yeah, and then you'll be notified when my video goes up next month, and hopefully I'll have some new projects to show you. I don't know if I'll be finished on my pheasant pullover because it's a lot of yarn to knit still, but hopefully I'll be close, and maybe I'll finish my socks, and I'll probably be on some new sewing projects as well. So you take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for watching.